everyone. This is Abdullah Konte and Skylar Nelson of Win Sports here to discuss the Commanders game. We're going to talk about everything that happened, basically in this last game on Sunday, and just kind of talk about optimism with this team moving forward. Skylar, how you doing overall?
I'm doing good.
Good.
A lot has happened
Yeah.
in 2 weeks, so we'll definitely, get more into that. How are you?
Yeah, and I'm good. That's a good point. We haven't talked in a couple weeks. We talked right before the Madrid game, but we didn't get a chance to talk after that. And then the bye week happened, and Thanksgiving, all of that. So it's been a minute since we've talked. There's a lot of things that have happened. Some players have returned. The team looks a little different in ways. Some players are still here. Some players have come back from injury, but they're playing a little differently, and it might be because of Dan Quinn taking over the defensive responsibilities. But overall, there seems to be a little bit of a new energy since that Madrid game. Both games losing in overtime in very sad ways. Just unfortunate. But what do you think? How have you been viewing this team overall? And if you are a fan or a person that's going to be talking to the fans, what would you say about the team? Or is there room for optimism or not?
I mean, to be honest, where we're at in the season, honestly, it's either they can win straight games from here on out, or it's kind of like in the hole here.
Yeah,
Realistically, we're going into week 14, right? So for me, it's week 14, right? I think.
I
Yeah.
think so.
Yeah, I
It's
think it's
one of
week
them
14.
weeks. One of them weeks.
It feels like, because to be real, in my mind, it's week 5, but it's
Yeah.
week 14, guys. But besides the point, for me, I definitely feel like that the bye week served them well. I feel
Sure.
like it was much needed. It gave guys who were injured time to rest. It gave the team, the coaching staff, time to reevaluate their choices and just certain things going on. I do feel like the defense has played better with Dan Quinn calling the plays. And I also feel like, that there has been a shift in energy. We've seen players emerge that we've been waiting to see emerge, or players emerge that we haven't seen or even thought about emerging,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So there's a lot that can be, really just looked at overall. I feel like that even though they lost this past Sunday, the energy in the locker room post game was very different. I feel like
Yeah.
that it was kind of like, yeah, we lost. We're kind of used to that. We've been losing, but at the same time, like, I love how optimistic this team is, and even what Marcus said today after practice, it was just kind of like, I believe we can win every week. It's all
Yeah.
about, can we execute? And for me too, just watching this team and just watching them overall this season, and just being able to talk to the coaches and talk to some of the players, the team has been really honing in on what this brotherhood looks like, and just trying to figure out where the issues are, because at this point, outside of the injuries, it's all about execution now.
Yeah.
So that's like the biggest thing. And I
Which
think,
just seems like there's been better execution or
yeah,
lately, at least, and
yeah,
you didn't. I don't think you watched Hard Knocks, and for those who didn't see it, there is a scene
hmm
at the end, that I think people have been seeing around Twitter where Dan Quinn says, we lost, but we're not lost, and it's something that everybody's been talking about. So I'm not going to sit there and harp on it too much, but it is a good
yeah,
quote because, like you said, there was a different energy in these last two games where, the games before that there were blowouts.
yeah,
And it was just kind of like, what is going on? Like, I understand that you lose, and this is not college. Like college, you could see teams get blown out because there's a big, gap between these teams. In the NFL, you don't see blowouts that much. And for them to get blown out like 4 or 5 straight games, whatever it was, it just was very demoralizing for anybody who had optimism about this team in the future. And I think these last two games, you're like, yo, even though they lost, they fought to the end. They're fighting hard. Like that's all
yeah,
anyone ever asks if you're sitting there watching a game is for it to be a
yeah.
good game, a good hard fought game. And the fact that,
And
like, against Miami,
yeah,
Miami's not a great team, but they have a good offense and they fought hard in that. And this team, like, look, this is a team that's now 10-2. They were 9-2 coming into the game. They fought this team hard, and
yeah,
apparently,
they
I
did.
was watching Lake and Rio talking, and Lake was saying like, yo, he was sitting next to some of the Denver media people, and they're like, oh, we haven't seen our defense struggle this much in a long time, maybe at all this season, and that's without JD5. So,
Yeah.
there's room for optimism. But yeah, go ahead. I think
But
you were gonna
also
make a
too,
point.
like one of the biggest things I think that I like about this game is you saw some really good things, but you also saw some things that they can improve upon. And that's
Definitely.
how games should be, right? Like I even some fans just leaving the stadium were like even asking me or recognizing me in the parking lot, like, oh, or recognizing me leaving. Like, oh, like, like some fans were like, I thought they played great. I'm not even too mad about the loss because so much happened that was good,
Sure.
especially
Yeah.
even just seeing Terry McLaurin back. That was like the hope for all fans here. Terry
Yeah.
didn't even like do anything yet. And the
Yeah.
biggest thing that was going on was Terry Chance going down the field. Like it was just like,
Well,
just
I
little
mean,
things that just
yeah.
satisfied fans. And as much as I will say the Commanders fan base is emotional, sorry guys, I understand
Like
why.
most fan bases, but yeah,
Yeah, like most fan bases, but for this, they've been through so much. I get it.
definitely.
But at the same time, just being able to pick, at least this time, we're not picking apart this game and it's like, oh, defense didn't play well, offense didn't play well, we didn't see anything great, vice versa. They were beat out by 20 points plus. We didn't see that. We saw a game in Madrid that stung, that where they lost and it was overtime, and then we saw a game and mistakes were made that caused the overtime, and then we saw a game where they played hard, they fought hard against a game against a team coming in that was 9-2, and now all of a sudden like they fought towards the very end, forced an overtime, and then on top of that, like they played to the best of their ability. The
Yeah.
defense just had a good run at that moment in overtime.
Yeah, and
But
I think for those who are looking for reason to be optimistic, like I mean, I think I'm still a little bit more of a pessimist on everything, but I'm pretty
yeah,
optimistic about the fact that they're fighting still. The one thing, it's easy to stop playing, right? It's easy to quit at this point. And when you look at the season, there's 3 games here that could have went the other way. They technically could be 6-6 right now in the playoff hunt.
yeah,
Like they're technically not eliminated, but they're going to be pretty soon here. But
yeah.
the thing is that like, yeah, look, when you really look at the roster and you think about those games, and if they just would have made a play here, if they would have had a couple guys not injured there, I mean, these could have been a much different game. And I think as we're seeing some of these guys come back to form, you're realizing that, yeah, man, maybe the injuries, that was the question, right? The question we had 2 weeks ago. Is it that they're just a bad team and they're not executing well? Is it bad coaching, or is it just that they're injured? And I think the injuries is a high level. I had somebody who told me on the sideline, they're like, look, man, people don't realize how big Terry being gone is. And as we can see, if we're talking about things that were good about the game, seeing Terry back, every game that Terry's played in, I guess he's only played in 2 since his first injury, but the Chiefs game and this game, he made impacts where you're like, yo, that's what they need. And for those who are complaining about is Terry really a number one, I think he proves that, like, even if people are still want to argue he's number one or a number two, he's still a really, really important piece to this offense, right? So I think he
Yeah.
showed out, and I think that, like, let's let's talk about the things that are, things that we're happy to see, or that we feel like is something that they could hold on to. And I think for me, if I was to give a couple, the first one is, yeah, Terry. Like Terry coming back and playing, people coming back. Will Harris came back, and the secondary looked pretty good too. They didn't give
Yeah.
up much at all in the secondary when it comes to their receivers. There's certain players that are looking good coming back and being healthy, which I think is the first thing. And then the second thing I would say is that some of these younger guys that we haven't seen that much have been making plays. I mean, Jordan McGee has continued to stand out. I think the move from Mikey to going to outside, it might be what he needs to do moving forward. I think they kind of moved him there out of necessity this year with all the injuries at corner, but it's kind of shown that he was really good at the outside last year when they moved him out there, and then now he's been playing. His last 2 games have probably been his best games that he's had. I guess the drop punt was something that was pretty rough, but he's not really a punt returner. But I think at corner, those have been some of his better games. So essentially, I think they're starting to recognize and see, like, like the ship was rocky, and I feel like the ship is kind of stabilizing. So I do want to talk about Treylon Burks, but I'll ask you a couple things that you feel like were positives that you saw from this game.
Yeah, most definitely. I feel like, and I want to say this too, like when I said in the beginning of the podcast, like in my mind, it's week 5 because I don't think that I've seen them or anyone has really seen them play this hard since they played the Chargers in week 5. And that was when
Yeah,
Jaden came back.
yeah,
Right. So, like, when I'm thinking about these things, although they lost, like, it was still a really great game.
hmm
But outside of that, I think one of the biggest things outside of, Terry McLaurin, because at first, I've had thoughts throughout the season about, I'm just being honest here, about, the team paying Terry. They paid him. He got injured. He was out for a while. He hasn't really been in the football speed. So I'm like, how is this going to go? I've had thoughts about that. Although I believe that he is their star receiver, I need to see it for myself, right? I saw what happened last year. I don't deny Terry at all. I love Terry. My issue is like, okay, they paid you. What are we looking at now? So that kind of, this game answered my question. You
yeah,
got paid, you're off the injury, you made an impact. And that's what I wanted to see from Terry.
yeah.
So I'm glad that that happened and that needed to happen because not only were fans hoping for that, but for Terry's sake, that needed to happen.
Yeah,
So
the
I'm actually
narrative
glad
of
they had
him
that.
being not a good player anymore because he held out because he wanted money was kind of crazy that the fan base was
Yeah.
kind of rocking with. But I think him coming back and playing well, it's like, okay, well, there's a reason why he held out. There's a reason why they paid him. Like he's a good
Right.
player.
Yeah.
Anyways,
And
continue.
he means so much to this team, just
He
not even
does.
just from a player
The
perspective,
energy
like
he
on the
brings
field.
too. Yeah, just the
Yeah.
energy. It's kind of when Jaden's playing, you're like, man, this team has a chance. When Terry's in
Yes.
there, there's a reason why every critical play you hear the crowd yelling, Terry,
Yeah.
Terry. Like
And
they know,
Terry's
like, yo,
their
get him
deep
the
threat
ball.
too.
Yeah.
He's
No,
their deep threat.
he does so much for them. And we've seen
He's
so
their
many
deep
plays
threat.
where, like, even that long throw to Jalen Lane, apparently Terry was wide open on the other side. And it's like,
Yeah.
if you throw it to Terry instead of Jalen Lane, I mean, like, look, I like Jalen Lane. He hasn't proved himself as a receiver yet. He's
Yeah.
a good returner. But if you throw it to Terry, he might catch that ball because Terry catches a lot of
Yeah.
contested balls, right? So, yeah, I mean
Yeah.
it's his presence is just known. It's apparent, and I think that we've been seeing them, especially at the running back or excuse me, wide receiver room. They've had a lot of guys that they've just thrown out there because they needed somebody to go out there. And
Yeah.
no knock on those guys, but they're just not Terry. They're not that number one
Yeah.
type
They're
receiver.
not.
They're not those high profile like type players. And with Terry being out there, you saw Debo had a little bit of a late start to his game, but in the fourth
Yeah, he
quarter
did.
he became alive. And now when you think about Jaden coming back, could this offense be the what we thought it was going to be? And this is where, for me as a person who's watching this team, it's like, yeah, the season's kind of a wash now. It's unfortunate that that you don't think they're gonna. Obviously, they technically could make a run for the playoffs. We just don't really see that's gonna happen, but it's kind of a wash, but it does give optimism for next year. Like I would say when they had that terrible season with Sam Howell and they got the number 2 pick, it's like you don't know when they're ever going to be good again. I think this team, the way they're playing now, you're like, yo, there's a good team in there. There's a reason why. I think after the game, I think it might have been one of the running backs. It might have been R.J. Harvey or somebody was talking about this team. It was like, yeah, this team is pretty good. They went to the NFC Championship a year ago for a reason. Like they got players on the team, so I think there's
Yeah.
optimism there. I want to ask about one thing that you think was negative about the game in regards to the future, and I would just say that like, look, there's still certain players that are just not we're not seeing enough from. I think for me, people like these second year players like Ben Sinnott and Johnny Newton. Even I mean those two dudes right there specifically are ones that I'm like, yeah, man, I think we'd like to see a little bit more of those guys, right? I mean, there are
Yeah.
some young players that are playing well, but there's some guys that you're just, I don't know. I don't know what's going on. You would think that they would get more run. Brandon Coleman's another one that you're like, what does the future hold for these guys?
Hmm.
I think we want to see more production out of them. Another person is Quan. Like, is Quan going to be legit that safety? I think this is a figuring it out moment for this team. Like, these last 5 games, you're really going to figure out who are the guys that are really going to be stable pieces on the squad. And so that's my negative thing. I don't know if you have anything negative about the team that you're like, man, I just wish this changes or we learn more about that.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I would say in terms of Ben Sinnott,
Hmm.
I feel like that is a hit or a miss only because of just the fact of it depends on the play calling.
Sure.
Because for him, like I feel like the only reason why he was getting more reps was because of injuries or because of just the simple fact that they needed more targets out there, right? It couldn't always be Zach. It couldn't always be Debo. And then obviously with Jalen Lane, I feel like Jalen Lane is in a space right now where Luke was last year.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, Jalen's another
it's,
one where,
it's
yeah,
just a
like
development.
next year he could be balling out because, like, you're
Exactly.
right. The first year, people are like, "Is Luke really good?" And then now people are like pretty high about Luke and his, progression as he played well this year. That Jalen Lane could be that guy next year because there's been plays that he just if he
Yeah.
makes the catch, we're like, "Yo, that was a great catch." Like, there's just been unfortunately too many drops, and maybe that's just getting confidence. I think confidence is a big thing because
Hmm.
as we saw in these last 2 games, I think the team is starting to get more confidence again. So, I wouldn't be surprised if you see some really hard. They have obviously the Vikings this week, and then they start their NFC East play. I wouldn't be surprised if they make some upsets because of the fact that they have a little bit of energy again. So,
Yeah.
yeah, no, that's a good point. I mean, it could be just development. Like, we do have to have patience with some of these players. Some people don't turn great right away. And that actually is a perfect segue to Treylon
Yeah.
Burks, right? Now,
Yeah.
let's talk about the Treylon Burks play because the first thing we got to talk about, I'll be honest, this is probably the biggest L I've had in my photo career, unfortunately. Those who follow me on Twitter know that I obviously I'm a photographer at first, and I missed the play mainly because of bad positioning. So what sucked about that is not only did I miss the catch, like the actually photographing it, I didn't even know what happened. I mean, as I'm watching it, I just heard this loud "ooh," and I was like, "What? Like, what did I miss?" But the play was incredible. I mean,
For
it
the
is one of
one
these ones.
time in his life, he wasn't paying attention.
I was locked into
I'm
him.
playing.
No,
I'm
yeah, it
playing.
wasn't about attention. Like, it was just more of
Yeah, it was
like
just your
where I
positioning.
was. Yeah, I was just in a bad spot. I knew right before the play. For any photographers listening or watching, I knew when I sat down, I was like, "Yo, this is kind of not a great spot because there is a blind spot here," and it was just me being dumb. I should have moved, but I didn't do it, and it's like only up to me. You know what I mean? It's a life lesson kind of thing. But I was locked in. I love the game, right? So I was locked in, and it sucks because not only did I miss the photo, I also missed the play. So let's hear about your perspective. Like, how was it from where you were? What? Why are you laughing at me?
I'm laughing because the biggest thing about this is it's like y'all don't understand. This man was so mad.
Oh,
Like
I
he
was
was he
tight.
was
I was
so
tight.
mad.
I was so blown.
He was
I'm
so
not gonna
tight.
lie.
And
I did,
and
I'm not.
I'm
I'm
texting
not.
him because when I first saw it happen, I'm like, I know one of
Do
them
you
got it.
know? Do
I
you know?
know.
Yeah, and we both. And the saddest part about it is me and Marcus both missed because Marcus got like the end of it, but essentially we drove home. That car ride, man, you didn't want to be in that car ride home with us. We were just depressed, angered slash depressed. Like reminiscing about horrible times out
Out
on
of all the
in that
games that
field.
they've shot since I've been working here for 2 years, that was probably the one where they were the most pissed off, and
Yeah,
rightfully so. Like for those of you who don't know, like I shoot too.
yeah,
I just haven't shot Commanders
mm-hmm,
yet.
mm-hmm.
Well, I have shot some walking photos, but we'll talk
Yeah,
about that later.
yeah, yeah.
But I shoot too, so I get it. Like at this point in my time of shooting, I've been a photographer like low key for like 4 years now.
Yeah.
So it's like for me, like blind spots and refs are the beefing
This is the
spot for
thing.
me.
And the thing is that for those who are photographers or who enjoy photography or don't even know anything about photography, like there is luck, being lucky. Like the play coming to you is luck. The play going away from you is being unlucky. And then like sometimes a ref will get in the way. You miss the
Yes.
shot. Sometimes your
Oh
camera
my
just misses
gosh.
focus, like all that kind of thing.
I
And
hate when
I've
refs.
had unlucky situations before. It just I would say that this was just man, it was kind of crippling because I had so many, and my phone was blowing up. Like everybody was like, "Yo, did you get that shot?" Yo, and
Yeah,
like
because
this
y'all
friends, family,
understand
like
Abdullah has
whatever.
become a superstar with his
No, chill,
photos,
chill,
guys.
chill, chill, chill,
And
chill,
what's so
chill,
crazy
chill.
about it is I knew everybody was gonna be like, so when I saw that text message come through, literally like 15 minutes later, and he didn't get it, I just knew everybody was gonna ask him. I was like,
It was rough. It's the reason why I had to say something on Instagram because I was like, I don't even want anybody to ask me about the shot. Like I was like, before you guys ask me, I didn't get it. Like it was heartbreaking, but it just gives me more motivation to like keep going.
yeah,
But that being said, like in regards to the game, it's great to see somebody like Treylon Burks. He's kind of like
yes,
the reverse effect of Emmanuel Forbes, right? Like everybody's been mad about Forbes balling out somewhere else, and
yeah,
like let's be real, Forbes needed to get cut from here. He just
yeah,
wasn't performing.
absolutely,
There was a reason why they did it. No one cared at the time. People only care now because he's playing well, but at the time, everybody was kind of thrilled he was gone. Like there was people celebrating
yeah,
the fact that he was gone. With Treylon Burks, hopefully it's the reverse effect. Like, I mean, look, he had a rough career in Tennessee, never had like a quarterback that he really gelled with. He gets cut. He's not on a team for weeks, and then he comes over here and
yeah.
is playing well. So it's something that is optimism for the next year. I think he could be potentially. This is kind of the confidence boost a person like that needs. And you could tell he was sad that they lost the game, but he was kind of giddy for the fact that people were, you know, around
Yep.
him, interviewing him. And the one thing I remember he said at the beginning of when they signed him, they were like, "Oh, Treylon, like you used to be this. Like, are you excited?" And he's like, "No, the Treylon's still there. Like, I'm still here. Like, he still believes in himself." So it was good to see a guy who just had finger surgery be able to catch that ball like that with the broken finger. I mean, it was incredible to see. So yeah, tell me like about your experience seeing it and just like how was it in the press box when the play happened?
Honestly, like in my head, I was like, they need to score. They just really need to score. Get it in the
Yeah.
red zone. And the biggest thing is seeing Treylon, you know, obviously he was fully covered. And that's the biggest thing is it's like, just seeing that play, happen. I'm actually proud and actually very happy that that happened because one, not only is that's the catch of the year to me. And
Yeah,
on
it's
top of
probably
that,
yeah.
like it's one of their biggest plays. It's one of their biggest momentum shifting plays of the year for not only this team but also too in the NFC. Like we haven't really seen anything like that, and
Yeah.
to see Odell Beckham really, give him his props, give him his flowers for
Yeah.
that was also,
Yeah.
an amazing moment. And
Yeah, it
it,
was
I
kind of
could
crazy that they
see.
wore the same number two when it
Yeah,
happened
that's
too. Yeah.
also kind of crazy, which is insane because when he said 13-13, I was like, wait a minute. I
Yeah.
looked at my phone. I'm like, oh
And it's funny
crap.
because Treylon doesn't wear it there. He wore 16 in college. He wore
Yeah.
16 for the
And he
Titans.
had,
Like he went back to 13. I guess he
yeah.
wore it in high school. So this is kind of crazy how it, came full circle that way.
But
But
you know what?
yeah, go ahead.
Just the support of and see, this is the thing that I've noticed too. And as a former athlete, and you could probably attest to this too, Abdullah, like, although things haven't always been the best, what I like about that moment for Treylon was the fact that he went out, he balled out, he put in the effort, the catch happened, and afterwards, as people were starting to give him recognition, he still stayed true to his game and also to stay true to the fact that like he still has a long way to go
Yeah.
here in Washington.
No, I
Just
think
because he
yeah.
had a highlight catch, that's great and all.
No,
That was his. Okay, this is the introduction. This is
yeah,
Treylon Burks,
I think
guys.
I think he believes there's much more than that in
Yes,
him.
and
Because they
DQ
even
believes
asked
that
him.
as well.
Yeah, no, I think so. They even asked him after the game, like, "Oh, was this the best catch you had?" And he was like, he had like what was thinking about it. He was like, "Oh, I had a really good one in against Georgia when he was in college, I guess." And I've seen his highlight film to know that he has some really good catches. He's a strong, he has strong hands, and he's one of those power strong receivers that they just don't have. I mean, Noah Brown
Yeah.
is probably their best person to do that, and he's not really like a red zone threat. Treylon might be more of a red zone threat that you could just throw it to him, and you know that he's going to come down with it, versus a defender. So we'll see. I do think this is a beginning for a very interesting story for Treylon, and I think the optimism, like you said, like I don't know how much. I don't think that play even gives a big boost for this season. I think it gives a bigger boost for the following seasons. Like I think everybody saw that play and they're like, man, if Treylon can really turn into that first round pick that he was when he was with Tennessee, this could be really a steal that Adam Peters was able to grab and really help a wide receiver group that is going to be very different next year because you have people like Noah Brown and Debo that you're not sure if they're going to come back. We could talk about the Ayuk thing if he's going to come here based upon his situation, but we don't know. But right now, having Treylon showing some showing some flair and just showing that he has that ability within him, it gives a lot of optimism to what they can do next year, and it makes me excited to see like what him and Jaden can do if they get to play together, because I don't think they played together. Maybe I think they played together in that first game. Actually, I don't know.
So.
I'm not sure if they played together.
I don't know for a fact, but
yeah,
honestly,
I think Treylon's only played in like 3 games. I think he's been playing ever since Jaden got hurt. So
yeah,
I'm not sure if they've played together yet.
But even then, just if you can do that with Marcus, and that wasn't even Marcus's best game. If you can do that with Marcus, just imagine the things that can be done with Jaden out there.
Yeah,
and that's
100%.
the thing, is it's like it only just makes you more excited for more. It's all about, can the execution continue? I think the biggest thing with the Commanders is that we see a lot of great stints, but it's all about, can the stints happen consistently? I'm not saying he's going to have an Odell Beckham catch every game. No. What I am saying is, can we see him help move the ball forward up the field each game?
I think that's the biggest difference between last year and this year. Is last year we saw young players that progressed throughout the year that made you optimistic about how they were going to play on the following season.
Yeah.
This year, it's like the young players that were progressing well last year have regressed a little bit. So it's nice to see any guy who's progressing, and I think we could say Jordan McGee, we can say, now we can say Treylon Burks. Like, we have a few guys that are actually, Luke McCaffrey, a few people that are showing progression. So it's nice to be able to add another person like Treylon into that mix of like, hey, this is somebody that they could rely on. Like I said that earlier on in this podcast, like, yo, can we find out who are the pieces? I think that's from between now and the end of the season, you got to find the pieces of players that are going to progress well and be, cornerstones for this team. Because like people like Bobby and Zach, everybody loves them. But we don't know if they'll be here next year. We don't know if they'll be here in 2 years.
Yeah, we don't know that.
This team needs guys that they know are going to be here for a while.
And plus, on top of that, it's like, for me, although Bobby and Frankie really had a really great game. Bobby had an interception.
Yeah.
Frankie had a sack. But what I loved about this game, too, is just we see, the growth and like the confidence though in Jacob Martin for sure.
I love Jacob Martin. I love the way that guy plays. He is relentless, and
yes,
you're right. If you're adding another person optimistic about the future, sign that guy. I don't know if I think he might be on a 1-year deal. Sign him. Bring him back. I love the way he plays. I think they need to still find some other guys to pair with him because they need help at pass rush. But when you talk about who's been legit the best pass rusher, Dorrance Armstrong, probably you could say was him before he got hurt. But I mean, Jacob Martin has been just flashing since preseason. We mentioned him in preseason. So I love the way he plays. I would love to see him back. And I think we want to do, maybe in one of the next episodes, we talk about players that we want to see back here that, these 1-year players and stuff like that. But, if we're talking about people who should come back, Jacob Martin is definitely high on my list to bring back. I think he just plays. He's very serious about the game. I saw something with him in Kansas City. He was really angry after the game. And, you want guys that just love football, that love the game, that really want to win. Doesn't matter what situation they're in, they're going to give it their all. And that's what you're going to find out about this team in these last 5 games. games is that who's really here to play football and who's really passionate about this and who's going to contribute to this team, in the future. If you're here for a paycheck, like, see you later. I just think they're really going to make some big adjustments beginning this new, starting next year with free agency and then the draft. So it's very exciting. You know what I mean? Like, I think that for me, it's kind of been a frustrating year because, when you talk about that run between, the Bears game sucked because they just fumbled it away. But when you talk about the Cowboys, Chiefs, Seahawks, Lions, those were 4 straight games where it was like, y'all just look horrible. Like, they just did not play well at all. The Dolphins was even okay. It was better. This was another fun game. Everybody had fun. When they left that stadium, it was like, okay, they lost, but like, that was entertaining. That was fun. You want to feel like encouraged about watching this team. It makes me excited about the Vikings game. So let's segue to this week. Obviously, I don't want to keep these videos too long. Like, we're already at 30 minutes. Let's do like another 10 minutes. That's it. I feel like they've been running a little longer than I feel like we should. No, it's not your fault. It's just more of like I can talk. So I'm like, let me try to monitor
Abdullah
this.
talks too much, guys. Sorry.
She also talks too much. She tries to make it seem like it's just me.
Because like he'd be like, "Oh, guys, we need to make this shorter," but then he'll have these long, drawn out sentences before
like,
we move on
we
to
have
the next
we
segue.
have team we have wins.
Dude.
We have Win Sports team meetings, and I'm always like, I'm going to let you guys off early, and then we go even longer than I normally do.
No, the only time he lets us off Win Sports meetings is if his food came to go eat. Like, get that. I don't want to hear that.
Food over everything.
To go eat. If I
food
said
over
I had
everything.
to eat, he'll be like, well, when
that's what I need to start
like,
doing. I need to start doing these meetings before dinner, so I make sure to leave you guys early enough so I can get food. Because you're right.
And Marcus, I hope y'all are watching because he be trying to like go around it. No, it's you. And
okay, fine. It's fine. It's me. I'm gonna do better than that. Okay, look, let's talk about the Minnesota game. I mean, look, I'm excited for this. I'm heading out there. I can't wait to see this stadium for 2 reasons. Just to see the vibe, the whole school thing with the Vikings, they're very passionate up there, but also to see the stadium as this is the same company, HKS, that's going to be building the new stadium in DC at RFK. So I'm really excited to see what it looks like. I've seen SoFi already, which they've built. I think they've done AT&T. And there's another one. I've seen Lucas Oil, which they've also done. All stadiums that I really enjoy. So I'm excited to see this one. But when it comes to the game, look, the Vikings, this is a winnable game. The Vikings are 2.5 point favorites right now. It's a winnable game because, like, look, they have big problems at quarterback. I mean, they don't know what to do with their quarterback. The quarterback they got now, I mean, he made probably the worst pick of the week last week. They got a good defense, though, and they're a hard-fought team.
Yeah.
Playing on the road is going to be hard. It is different from playing at home. What do you think? I mean, do you feel good about this game? Are you excited about this game? Do you think that they have a chance? How do you think this game will go?
Honestly, to be real, like I feel like the Commanders have a really good chance of winning this game. They just have to be consistent. Like I feel like this is going to be the defense's game to disrupt because of the issues that they've been having on the offensive side in terms of production, right?
Yeah.
And we've seen that last week. We saw some clips here and there. But the biggest thing is it's like, can the defense attack hard enough for the offense to get going? And that's the biggest thing. And we've seen games where the defense can't get going for the offense to continue that production moving forward, which causes the outscore.
Yeah,
and
they need to play a
like
complete
if
game.
The defense can get going.
Yeah, go ahead.
Pretty much.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Like,
I agree with you,
Yeah, that's pretty much it, honestly. And, obviously there's been talks about whether Jaden's going to play this weekend. Everybody thinks that his mom said yes or no, whatever the case may be. We honestly do not know. And this is the thing, is it's like, I want to make this clear. We do not know if Jaden is going to play this weekend. If he plays this weekend, great. Do we think that he's very close to coming back? Absolutely. But has it been confirmed? No, especially since Marcus was talking today, which could change. Jaden could be out there on Sunday. Would it be nice to see him out there? Yes, but it's not a dire need based on how this team is going.
I wouldn't play him.
Like, we just got
and
Terry
it's not
back.
Yeah, if he's ready, play him. I just don't think he's ready. He
Yeah,
doesn't look like he's ready. I want Jaden to come
yeah,
back and play because just like we talked about earlier, seeing the momentum coming back, like the fact that this team is starting to recognize, like,
yeah,
hey, we're actually good. We just had a lot of unfortunate situations. Getting Jaden back, and I know there's a lot of the tank. There's people on the tank squad where they just want the best draft pick. I get that. I get why.
hmm
If you're not going to make the playoffs, it is smarter to be one of the teams at the top of the draft. I get
yeah.
that. But I think
I
it means a
understand that
lot
too.
more. I just think it means a lot more to end the season knowing, like, yo, let's work really hard because we actually have a good team and we just had some
Yeah,
fuck ups throughout the year. But let's, like, reset and come back knowing that we
yeah.
got some good pieces on the squad instead of just going home being like, yo, we lost 10 in a row or some shit. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
plus
Like,
DQ
I
has
just,
been hinting at that anyway. Like
yeah.
this team, and this is what people also too need to understand. As much as you want Jaden to come back, you gotta also to make those strategic decisions. But also
Mhm.
too, this team is the type where it's like if he's ready to go, and we're gonna put him out there,
Yeah.
and they're gonna go for it. Just
Yeah.
like last year, they were a fourth down team. They went on it all the time on fourth down.
Hmm.
This
Hmm.
year, they've been in their overtime games. They've been going for it,
Yeah.
and that's the thing for the 2 point conversion for that score.
Yeah.
They don't want to always send the kicker out there. I get it. This is a team that goes for it, right?
Hmm.
So if he's ready, they're gonna play him.
Yeah.
If they feel like that he's not, you know how Jaden is.
Yeah.
Everybody knows Jaden
I,
Daniels'
I would
mentality
rather,
at this
yeah, he's
point.
gonna want to play. That's the thing. He's one of these
He's gonna want to
dogs
play
that you
regardless.
gotta. He's just one of those kids that, like, you're like, yo, you're not like. It's like one of these kids who's like, I want to go to my friend's house, even though he's been puking all day. It's like, yo, you got to get better, right? So
Wait,
basically,
what
so
type of comparison is that?
no, because
Like
like think
what?
about it. Think about it. Like, you know how, like, I don't know if you were like this, but I'd be like sick and I'd be like, oh, I want to go hang out with my friends, and my mom's like, you're not feeling well, like you're not going. I'm not letting you go. But
I'm
it's like,
sorry.
yeah.
Maybe I was like that when I was 5, but like
That's
once
what I
I
mean,
turned like
though. But
12 or
isn't
13, I was scared.
doesn't Jaden give you that vibe because he's kind of young? Like, what I mean by that is that he just wants to play all the time, but there's times where it's like, yo, you got to recognize that you are not healthy enough to play. I
I can
promise
see
you,
that part.
if you told Jaden right now, yo, we're gonna let you play this weekend. I think Jaden is crazy enough to go out there and play. But
Yeah, no, I believe that.
we heard from multiple people who said that he didn't look super healthy last week. Like, he's still not moving that arm a lot, right? So
Hmm.
that's my
Yeah.
thing, is that he's just young to the point where he needs to start recognizing, like, yo, and I think it shows in his play too. Like, some
Hmm.
of these quarterbacks, they learn how to slide more. They know how to get out of bounds more. Like, Jaden's just like, yo, I'm just gonna run in there, and it's like, you need to protect yourself
Dude,
better.
no.
Yeah,
Like
and I
no.
think that that's what I mean by, like, the coaches are still kind of like parenting him to the point where it's
Yeah.
like, yo,
And
once
he's
he
still
starts to
learning like
recognize that, he'll be better.
yeah, and he's still learning like there's a lot of development here. He's only in his second year in the NFL, and then on top of that too, like he's he Jaden, and I don't like comparing him too much to other quarterbacks, but
Yeah,
Jaden was kind of where Lamar was when
of
Lamar first
course.
started out because
Bingo.
there
Yeah.
was there was the conversation of, oh, Lamar's not throwing the ball enough.
Hmm.
Lamar's not now it's like Lamar's not running enough.
Yeah, no,
Lamar right now is
Lamar
playing
is a
with
perfect example. Yeah.
yeah. Although Lamar is playing through an injury now, that's a whole nother
Yeah.
story.
And
But
that's
it's like
people
it's
get
either
injured,
one or
right?
the other. There's a
Yeah.
balance with that,
Yeah,
and
no, and
that's where
that's
Jaden has
what
to
when I
learn that.
watch. Yeah, and I said this at the beginning of the year. When you watch Lamar, like, I think that Lamar and Jaden play very differently. To be honest, like, I think they play similarly in some ways, but they do
They have
have
similar
different games.
skills, play
Yeah, they
differently.
play differently. But what I would say is that the one thing that Lamar does definitely better. One, he's a better runner than Jaden. But
Yeah.
what Lamar does better, and it's also, he's like a bigger. He seems a little stockier than Jaden. Obviously, Jaden's a little thin, but Jaden or Lamar knows when to go down. He knows how to take hits. He knows how to go down. Like, he just knows how to protect his body better. You can see it. He runs with better confidence because of that. And I think that that's
Hmm.
where Jaden needs to be. And granted, like, look, these lumps that he's taking now are going to be what he learns from. But essentially, yeah,
Yeah.
like, I just think, he just is an excited person that always wants to play. You see it in every quote that he has. He's like,
Yeah.
I feel like I'm good to go, but they tell me I can't go, so whenever I can go, I'll go. Like,
Yeah.
he makes it always
Absolutely.
known that if they say he can go, he's gonna go, and that's where they got to temper him back a little bit, and he'll
Yeah,
learn.
and
He'll
this
learn
is
from that, you know.
and it's just
So
a growth thing. It's just a growth
yeah,
thing because even just going back to the Lamar thing, Lamar and I would say like the first 1 to 3 years of his career, he was in that thin guy spot
yeah,
until
he
he
was.
built
Yeah,
on it. Like he had
yeah.
to build his body up for
Of
that
course, of
because he
course.
also knew he was like, if I'm gonna run,
I gotta
I
be
gotta be built enough
stronger.
to get
Yeah,
hit.
to could take
Yeah, I
these
gotta
hits.
get
These are some
stronger.
big dudes out there. So okay,
Yes.
look, let's do game
Yeah, we gotta.
predictions.
Yeah,
We
we gotta
got
wrap this up.
predictions right now, and then we're ending.
See,
Okay.
I was about to make the mistake. My bad.
No,
Whatever.
it's because I almost led you that way. Okay, look, game prediction. Obviously it's pretty early with the week. We don't know if Jaden's going to play, but I think for me, I kind of predict that he's not going to play. I think Mariota's going to play. I think I thought they would actually upset the Broncos going into the stadium.
I did too. But you
Yeah,
know
a
what?
lot of people.
I was nervous,
Yeah.
but then I was like, this could be an upset. And also too, if you think about it, I'm not gonna lie, throughout the NFL this season, we've seen multiple upsets.
Yeah.
So we see the theme, we see the pattern. And it's like, the Broncos were on their high. They thought that they could come into Northwest Stadium and dominate. And then they were like, oh crap, this team is good. And let's not forget, the Commanders are great on paper.
Yeah.
Again, it's all about the execution. And this is something, the challenges that they faced this year is the first time they faced this as a team, as this Commanders team.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that a lot of people don't understand is it's like, yeah, like they had some sucky moments. There were times where things stung. You
Yeah.
know, if I was a fan, like a diehard fan like that, like from DC, I would be the same way.
Yeah.
I understand that. But at the same time, you got to understand that there is growth and development. Like, I understand based on last year, it was inevitable. But at the same token, I understand the whole Super Bowl situation, but they have to go. I believe, just like Tom Brady has lost, you got to go through the challenges in order to get to the final goal. That's what I truly believe.
This is where it's like it's a journey, man. You know what I mean? It's a long journey. These are the lumps you got to take before you can get to that promised land period. Like, I mean, some of these great QBs or great teams, they went through a lot of the hell to get there. I mean, watching the documentary about the Cowboys, like the Cowboys used to get thumped by the Redskins back in the day, and
Yes.
they weren't very good. And when they were able to overcome that and get past that, that's where those glory days occurred for them. So, it's going to take a while. It's going to take some time. I think that last year, if they switched these seasons around, where last year they were 3-9 at this point, and then they went and crushed it this year, we'd be like, oh, they're on pace to do exactly what they needed to do.
Yeah.
But since it's like reverse, it was like the expectations were way too high after last year, because people forgot, like, this is a team that's still building. They played
Yeah.
an easier schedule last year. And then they won all these games where it was like a very toss-up game that they won. Whereas this year they're losing all the top
Yeah.
all the toss-up games. So that
And
that
even
being
just-
said, no, hold on. That
Yeah.
being said, I'm just gonna give my prediction, and then I'll let you speak. That being said, I think they're gonna win this game this week because of the fact that, like, honestly, I think everybody kind of feels like Minnesota might have a little bit of an edge, and I think it's gonna be one of these toss-up games because I think that the Commanders might regress a little bit from how they played against Denver, because I think they turned it on because they had a week off and they're playing a really tough team. I think that they might struggle a little bit more in Minnesota, but I also think Minnesota's not very good, especially their offense is really bad. They didn't score any points last week. So, and I know they're playing a good Seattle team in Seattle. But either way, I'm not really sold on their quarterback situation. They do have some receivers that are going to give this team a little bit of a headache, but I still think that this team wins. But I think it's going to be like a lower scoring game. So I'm going to go with like 20 to 16 Commanders. Anyways, your turn.
Okay. I forgot what I was gonna say.
Sorry.
No, you're good because I didn't want to cut you off either.
Yeah.
But like, even though like, because like we talked about this year and last year, I'm gonna keep it short, guys. The biggest thing is it's like, also too, like, just going back to the losses, like I feel like this team is still learning how to battle adversity together. And we've seen it, like, there's also been some changes this year compared to last year in terms of roster spots and positionings and things of that sort on offense and defense. So in terms of like just the battles that they have to go through these battles together with this specific team. It's not the same battles as last year. And I think that's where the challenge lies, and I think that's where people have to understand that more. Do I think it's the excuse of the entire situation? No. But at the same time, that's where I'm looking at. Because if you think about it, the offense hasn't really gelled this year until, I would say, the injuries weren't playing a factor. So, it is what it is. Yeah. But my prediction for the Vikings, I do believe that the Commanders can come out on top. Do I think this may be a low-scoring game? Maybe. I wouldn't say it's going to be over 30 points. No. Yeah. But, I mean, we're looking at maybe, I would say, sorry, because I'm thinking about two predictions. He always gets on me about this. I'm thinking, I'm going to say 26-24 Commanders win.
Okay.
That's my prediction.
Right. No, that's good. It's good. I think it's like we both recognize that it's probably going to be a close game. I don't really see them. I think for the fact that they've been blown out so many times.
27-24. Sorry.
Okay, 27-24. Okay. The fact that they've been blown out so many times, I feel like they're on edge to not get blown out and not be embarrassed. So I think they'll play hard. I worry that, playing on the road is always harder. I think the Vikings have things that they do well. I think their defense plays pretty well, and their Brian Flores likes to bring pressure quite a bit, which might give this team kind of some complications. It'll be nice to have Terry back, but I just think that Minnesota's offense. I mean, if a team that's been struggling on defense like the Commanders, this is their opportunity to play really well against a team that's struggling on offense, right? So, okay. Well, that being said, let's wrap it up there. You know what I mean? Look, we are happy to be back, happy to be talking. The season's not turning out exactly as we had hoped, that anybody had hoped, but we're still here. We're still covering. We have been focused on Commanders mostly, but we are going to be bringing some other people to talk about, obviously, Commanders off season, but also about other sports. The Wizards are playing. They won a game a couple of days ago. That was nice. We'll see if they can continue to maybe win some games. If we don't want to focus on them. They lost
last night, Abdullah.
Yeah, I know they lost, but I wanted to talk about the positives, right? The positives.
You're trying, and it's not. It's not. No.
There's other teams too. There's other college teams that we'll talk about.
The Wizards have a lot of positives, and I think the biggest thing is that people don't understand is they are the youngest team in the NBA. Yeah. So we're talking maybe 2 to 3 years.
Future. I mean, that's unfortunately the thing that's said about DC teams a lot. It's like, oh, they're playing for the future. We got to just hope that this is really going to play for the future and build something. For real. But we're going to be there covering. We're not going anywhere.
Yes. So, and plus, we're going to stay on top of the Spirit, because we got to see if Trinity Rodman is going to come back or if she's going to go.
It's sad that they missed out on that championship. Yep. But big supporters of that squad here for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yes, no, absolutely. And, we love the Spirit, guys. Like, the Spirit, like, those games are truly electric. And I think out of all the sports in D.C., and, it's going to grow over time. I think out of all the sports in D.C., the Spirit has been in terms, and it's not even because they're winning, the atmosphere of Audi Field. If you have not been to Audi Field, you need to go. Mm-hmm. The atmosphere of Audi Field is
one of the best feelings. Yeah, it's one of the best fan bases in this area, and Audi's is a perfect size for that team. So agreed. But anyways, look, that's all for us, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. Obviously, like, subscribe if you guys like what we are doing. Obviously follow us on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, all the platforms. We're trying to grow a little bit more each day, and we appreciate all the support. And we're going to keep going. So thank you all for your time, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.